Hello dear students, in this session let us continue with the properties of del applied to product of point functions. Okay, so we have the third property, that is del cross fg. We should prove that this is equal to del f cross g plus f into del cross g. We have to prove this property now. Okay, so in order to prove that, what I will do is, first I will consider del cross fg means summation I cross dou by dou x of fg, isn't it? So now apply product rule of differentiation. You will get summation. You can write capital I or you can write just I cap, no problem. Okay, since I'm using I cap itself, continue with I cap itself. I cap cross f into dou g by dou x plus dou f by dou x into g, right? So now we can write this as f into summation I cap cross dou g by dou x plus summation I cap into dou f by dou x cross g, right? So this is nothing but f into, this whole thing is del cross g, plus this is nothing but del f cross g. So del cross fg will be equal to f into del cross g plus del f cross g. This is our third property. So the fourth property is, we have to prove gradient of f dot g is equal to f dot del into g plus g dot del into f plus f curl g plus g curl f. Okay, so let's prove that the fourth property is, I have to consider del into f dot g. So how can I write del into f dot g? Summation I cap dou by dou x into f dot g. So this is nothing but summation I cap into dou f by dou x dot g plus f dot into dou g by dou x, right? So I can write this as summation I cap into dou f by dou x dot g plus summation I cap into f dot dou g by dou x. So now let's consider our scale vector triple product. Okay, from vector triple product property we have, or now g cross I cap cross dou f by dou x will be equal to g dot dou f by dou x into I cap minus g dot I cap into dou f by dou x. This is the property, the same property I had used in your del applied to point function, right? In the previous properties I have used the same property while proving your previous one. Okay, so now using this we can rewrite these two as g dot dou f by dou x into I cap will be equal to g cross I cap cross dou f by dou x plus g dot I cap into dou f by dou x. Rewriting this property in this way. Okay, so now apply summation to this, summation g dot dou f by dou x I cap will be equal to G cross summation I cap cross dou f by dou x plus summation G dot I cap into dou f by dou x, right? So this will be equal to, in the LHS side I have summation G dot dou f by dou x into I cap. This will be equal to G cross summation I cross I cap cross dou f by dou x plus summation G dot I cap dou f by dou x. This is nothing but G, I will write as it is, cross, this is my curl f, plus G dot I cap means G dot del dou f by dou x. I can write it as f. This del is applied to f also, right? So from that I can write G dot del into f. Call this as equation 1, and now this as your equation number 2. So in this equation number 2, interchange f and g. Okay, interchanging f and g, we get summation f dot dou g by dou x into I cap will be equal to f cross del cross g plus f dot del into g. Call this as equation number 3. Now use equation 2 and 3 in your equation number 1. Therefore substituting in 1 from 2 and 3, we get del into f dot dou g by dou x, del into f dot g will be equal to f dot del into g plus g dot del into f plus f cross del cross g plus g cross del cross f. That means here we have g dot dou f by dou x into I cap value. Here we have f dot dou g by dou x into I cap value. We are substituting those two here. Is that clear? So if you substitute those two values here, you will get the required result. So now let's move to the next property, that is property number 5, del dot f cross g. So del dot f cross g, we can write this as summation I cap dot dou by dou x into f cross g. This is nothing but summation I cap into dou f by dou x cross g plus f cross into dou g by dou x. Okay, so we can write this as summation I cap dot dou f by dou x cross g minus summation I cap dou g by dou x cross f. This is because you have a property, that is vector a cross b is equal to minus of vector b cross a. So here we are interchanging f and dou g by dou x position, so I am getting a minus sign here. Okay, so this is equal to summation I cross dou f by dou x dot g minus summation I cap cross dou g by dou x dot f. Again this is from the property that A dot B cross C will be equal to A cross B dot C. Using this property we can write these two expressions in this form. Okay, so now this is nothing but G dot, I will retain as it is, this is del cross F, right, minus F dot, this is nothing but del cross G. So therefore del dot F cross G will be equal to G dot del cross F minus F dot del cross G. The last property is del cross F cross G. We can write del cross F cross G as summation I cap cross dou by dou x into F cross G. So this is nothing but summation I cap cross dou f by dou x cross g plus f cross dou g by dou x. So now this is equal to summation I cap cross dou f by dou x cross g plus summation I cap cross f cross dou g by dou x. So again we have a property that is A cross B cross C is equal to A dot C into B minus A dot B into C. Using this property we can write this as summation I cap dot G into dou f by dou x minus I cap dot dou f by dou x into g plus summation I cap dot dou g by dou x into f minus I cap dot f into dou g by dou x. Alright, so now simplify this, you will get, I can write this from previous step, it is just that we are substituting our summation to each and every terms. Okay, so from this we can write f into summation I cap into dou g by dou x, this one, okay, minus g into summation this term I cap into dou f by dou x plus summation first term that is g into I cap dou f by dou x minus summation f dot I cap into dou g by dou x. So del cross f cross g will be equal to, this is f as it is, this is nothing but del dot g minus g, this is nothing but del dot f plus this is your g dot del into f minus this will be f dot del into g. So this is the required result. This is all about your properties, that is del applied to products of point function. Okay, now let's start with the new topic. Before that I just want to give a brief introduction about your continuum mechanics. Okay, so continuum actually splits into two words. One is continuous, another one is medium. So putting together continuous and medium gives you a continuum. Okay, here continuum means we are talking about the physics of bodies. So physics of bodies that can be treated as continuous is nothing but your continuum. Okay, so physical quantities that are described by continuous mathematical functions, physical bodies that are described by continuous mathematical functions or nothing but your continuum. So continuum bodies as I told you, continuum is basically described on physics of bodies, right? So continuum bodies subject to physical quantities, right? So physical quantities are nothing but your mass, force, distance, displacement. This all are comes under physical quantities, etc. So this is the basic thing about your continuum mechanics. You can observe here slowly the concepts are moving towards your physics, right? So continuum mechanics is also a basic building block of your physics, we can say that. So now we know that physical quantities which are specified on magnitude, only on magnitude, or nothing but scalars, and physical quantities that are specified with both magnitude and direction means vector, right? But we have certain physical quantities which are associated with two or more directions. This is subjected to only one magnitude, that comes to your scalars. If it has both magnitude and direction, that will come under vector. But we have some other quantities, physical quantities that are associated with two or more direction. Okay, such quantity will be called as tensors. So this is the new topic which comes under continuum mechanics. Okay, so you will be dealing with this word throughout your continuum mechanics. So make sure that you will understand this concept clearly. So if a physical quantities that deals with more than two directions, that will come under tensors. Okay, for this the example is stress at a point of an elastic solid. So if you want to find out the stress at some point, then it depends on two directions, right? One is normal to the area, another one is force on it, force acting on it. These two will be the direction in order to find the stress. So here we cannot say stress as a vector or stress as a scalar. Obviously it will not come under scalar since it has direction, but it will not even come under vector since stress is dealing with two direction. One is normal to the area, another one is force acting on it. So stress comes under tensor. Okay, you can observe here this is a 3D rectangular beam. Okay, this is the origin point. I have to find out stress at this point. So since this is a 3D rectangular beam, obviously the beam divides into topmost, bottom and sideways. So this rectangular beam consists of 3 cross sections, right? Or you can say that it consists of 3 views. One is top view, bottom view, the last one is side view. It may be a left view or a right view. So it consists of 3 views. We have to find out the stress of this rectangular beam at this point. So we cannot find out the stress using the properties of vectors here. This rectangular beam divides into 3 parts. One is top view, another one is bottom view, and another one is side view. Okay, so when it divides into 3 views, it consists of, since it is a 3 dimension, we can say that it has 9 components. That means in top view I will be having 3 coordinates, in bottom view will be having 3 coordinates, and in the side view I will be having 3 coordinates, right? I will name this as pxx, pxy, pxz. Similarly, this will be pyx, pyy, pyz, and the last view is pzx, pzy, pzz. So we have 3, we divide the rectangular beam into 3 coordinate system. In each coordinate system we have 3 components and 2 basis vectors. You can observe here, these 2 are basis vectors. Okay, so if I want to express this in a rectangular system, that is, I will denote the overall as P. I can write this in a matrix form, right? So Pxx, Pxy, Pxz, Pyx, Pyy, Pyz, Pzx, Pzy, and Pzz. So overall we have 9 components and 2 basis vectors, right? In that 2 basis vectors, one is along the cross section area, okay, another one is for direction of force. So this is nothing but your tensors, okay? So tensor in a m dimensional space, we are denoting m dimensional space. So here m may be 3, 4, 5, so on. For this particular example, m is 3, right? A tensor of rank n is a mathematical object that has n indices. So m cap n or m power n components obeys certain transformation rule. So here we are defining the rank of tensor. Okay, so there are some certain transformation rules in order to define the rank of tensor. Component of a tensor is denoted as m cap n. Here m is nothing but a dimension and n is nothing but indices. In other words, I can say that indices are nothing but your basis vectors. Okay, so if you want to check the component for this particular example, m dimensional means we are considering 3 dimension. N is the indices. Indices is, I have 2 indices, right? That is 3 square. 3 square is nothing but 9. So this particular example consists of 9 components, right? So rank of tensor is defined as number of basis vectors needed to fully specify a component of the tensor. That means in order to fully specify this components, I need 2 basis vector. This number is nothing but your rank of tensor. Okay, so rank of tensor for this example is 2. This is how we define tensor, rank of tensor, components of tensor. So basically tensors comes into picture when you have more than 2 directions. For example, here we had considered the example of stress at a point. So for stress at a point, we will be having 2 direction. One is along the normal, that is cross section area. Another one is the force acting on it, right? If you want to express your tensor in terms of scalars, then we know that for scalars we have only magnitude. In scalars we will be having no direction, so component is 1 for scalar, right? That means we can express m cap n as the dimension will be 2, dimension will be 1, 1 power 0 is nothing but 1, 0 because we will be having no basis vectors, right? So we will be getting 1. This is nothing but scalars consist of only magnitudes. So in terms of tensor, I can say that scalar fields are referred to as tensor field of rank 0. This is nothing but rank, right? So you can say scalar as a tensor field only if its rank is 0. Similarly, if I consider the example of vector, for vector we will be having both magnitude and direction, right? So for this, the component I can express this as, if I consider two dimensional, m value will be 2, and for this the number of basis vector is 1, right? Because if I consider this as my example, I have x and y axis, right? So in order to find distance or displacement, we will express this as xi cap plus yj cap, right? If we have 3 dimensional, it will be zk cap equal to some value. So here you can observe I have one basis vector, so it is 2 power 1, which is nothing but 2. If I consider 2 dimensional, here it is 3 dimension, so you can write this as 3 power 1, you will get 3 itself. So this is nothing but rank. So for vector, we can say vector as tensor field of rank 1. Okay, so if I want to refer scalar as my tensor field, then I can say that tensor field of rank 0. In the same way, vector refer to tensor field of rank 1. So this is the basic concepts for your tensor. In the next session, we will discuss range and summation conventions, which is nothing but Einstein convention. Okay, thank you.